All right, welcome back to this very special episode of, I don't even know what to call it, Square.Peg Live. We're going to be reviewing this section of Candace Owens' latest video in which she starts attacking men through the avatar of Nick Fuentes. Now, her personal beef with Nick Fuentes, I'm not really so concerned about that. Obviously, it's stupid. She doesn't know what she's talking about a lot of the time. First of all, she kind of goes into the whole you hate women because she can't do the who hurt you to Nick Fuentes because obviously he's still a virgin. So she can't pull the who hates you card, or I mean the who hurt you card. So instead she pulls the you just hate women, which is the most ridiculous thing in the world. I think that about 90% of heterosexual men do not hate women. They hate feminism. They hate modern women's attitudes towards men, such as Candace Owens, who thinks that she, as a woman, has the ability to define masculinity. So now this is what we're going to look at, this clip. I'm going to play this clip because both of these people are extremely famous and people play their clips all the time. So don't get mad at me for playing their clip. We're going to check this out, see what she has to say, and then I'm going to respond to it more in detail.
Asked him who he was dating, or like, hey, you're going to get married one day, he lost his mind. He started acting like a raging homosexual, calling me all sorts of things, of course, when he was in the comfort of his own home, and very much embodying the stereotype of women that you see on reality TV. This is actually was his reply to me for asking him about whether he wanted to get married one day.
Sit down and shut the f*** up, bitch! That's what a man has to say.
Just a general rule. If you have to say I'm a man, which he then follows up by saying I'm a real man, you probably aren't one. Okay. Hey, Brigitte, if you got a...
See, here we go with her starting out her framework of trying to define what a man is. Right? It's subtle. But this is one of the games that they play. Oh, if you say you're a man, then you're not a man. Only women get to bestow the title of man on you. Even though you're born with a penis, balls, you got high testosterone, might be going bald at an early age, stubbly beard on your face, deep voice. But no. You know who defines your masculinity? Candace Owens and her mommy sleuth blogger team. They define who is a man and who isn't. If you say you're a man, you can't be a man. That's the most obvious telltale sign that you're not a man. Going into the men's restroom, wearing pants, wearing t-shirts with pockets on the front. Yeah, that's how you know.
To prove you're a woman, you're probably not one. Real men, their natural inclination is to protect women and children.
See, here we go. And now this gets to the core of the traditional conservative disagreement with MGTOW, Red Pill, Manosphere, whatever you want to call it. That this definition of a man as someone who protects women and children completely defies all logic. So let's say, for instance, you are on a desert island by yourself, no women, no children to protect. Do you now lose your status as a man? Are you no longer a male? Are you no longer a man? Right? And we're doing what they're doing is the same thing that transgender feminists are doing. They're shifting the goalpost from you being a male, a person with an X and a Y chromosome, to some type of social construction that has been developed by feminist. And granted, she's a right-wing feminist, but she's still a feminist. And this construction is supported by conservative traditional men that are not involved in the red pill or understand red pill concepts. They will back up someone like Candace Owens, who wants to define for you what a man is and what a man should and shouldn't do. And obviously it's protect women, right? It's obviously that what a real man does is protect women. That's obvious. It's the most natural course of events, right? And you notice that, like from the title of my video, there is no caveat. There is no caveat like, say, I would say, you know, a real man handles his responsibilities. So if a real man is married, then a real man protects his wife. A man, I don't even want to say a real man. A man protects his wife. And if a man has children, then a man protects his children because those are his responsibilities. But if a man doesn't have children and he doesn't have a wife, does that preclude him from being masculine? Of course not. We know from history that some of the most talented inventors, artists, explorers, scientists, I might have already said scientists, were unmarried. Nikola Tesla is one of the prime examples of a man that was never married, never had kids, was one of the greatest inventors in all of human history, right? So protecting women and children does not define your masculinity. You as a man define your masculinity, and your XY chromosomes define your masculinity. Not Candace Owens. Please do not let Candace Owens define your masculinity for you, because she's wrong. She's 100% wrong on this. 100%.
It's a fact. A woman's natural inclination is to respect men when they are exhibiting the attributes.
See, when. Protect men when. See, notice how there's a caveat of what women do. There was no caveat for men. It was just men protect women and children. Women respect men when. When. You notice there's a caveat. Women only have to play their role when they decide to. Men are always under the constant pressure of being a man, being a real man, quote unquote, as defined by Candace Owens and other women, traditional or feminist. And so I'm kind of getting this concept over to the conservatives as to how you cannot let these women define masculinity. Only the man himself and his own self-determination and his XY chromosomes and his balls define that he's a man. Right? Not Candace Owens. Candace Owens does not define who's masculine and who's not. Please.
Of true masculinity. Protect.
See, that's how they do it. That's the game right there. A real man is someone who does what women want. What's a real woman? A real woman is a woman that accepts a man that does what women want. You see the game. You see how it's just a slight shift from the actual traditional conservative values of a man taking responsibility for his family and his children and his community, to a real man is someone who serves women. It's a subtle difference, but it's a huge difference. A huge difference in the definition. Is a real man someone who serves women, or is a real man someone who defines his own destiny and takes responsibility for his actions? I would like to think that it's the latter, and I would like to think that most people would agree with me that it's the latter and not the former. That a real man, or quote unquote a man, I don't want to keep saying a real man, a man is someone who defines himself, defines his own relationships, defines his own responsibilities, but takes responsibility for the things that he claims responsible for. and the things that he claims authority over, right? Because this is a problem. If women expect you to just protect all women and all children in the world, otherwise you're not defined as a real man, yet a woman can pick and choose when she decides that she's going to fit into the feminine role, society's still going to be out of whack, even if women are claiming to be conservative, claiming to be Christian conservatives or whatever type of religious conservative or just a right-wing conservative, right? If they claim that women's role is actually to define masculinity and that you actually cannot even be a man unless you accept the framework of this conservative feminist ideology, right? And that's the danger of people like Candace Owens trying to tell you who is and who isn't a man. When, of course, she's a boss babe herself, working full time, getting paid high salaries, going to work while she's pregnant. I mean, come on.
Protecting women and children, not getting up on a platform and trying to soft sell the definition of pedophilia by saying, well, it wasn't 5-year-olds, and so it's okay. And by the way,
yeah, we really don't have to go over this, that there are age differences in adulthood in different countries. I'm not going to get too deep into it, but yes, there is a big difference between it being a 5-year-old and a 17-and-a-half-year-old. I'm sorry. I know people don't want to hear that. It's still illegal. I'm not saying it's not illegal, but what I'm saying is there is a difference. Okay. So now saying that, we can see that part of the angle of the older traditional conservative women is to keep, men away from the younger women. I'm not saying minors, but, 18 and above, because especially someone like Nick Fuentes, he's still in that age range. He's in his 20s. If he was dating a 19-year-old or a 20-year-old, I wouldn't really see a problem with that, right? And, you want to date a woman that has less body count, was less likely to have had an abortion or pregnancy or anything like that, and the younger the woman is, the less likely that is to be the case. Now, look, I'm not saying do 17-year-olds or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the difference between a 17-and-a-half-year-old and a 5-year-old is vast when you're talking about those type of topics. Probably going to get banned here. But again, it's just another way that they're trying to define masculinity and, point successful men away from more attractive, more fertile, younger women. Yes, of course, don't do anything illegal, but at the same time, what, should Nick have to marry a 40-year-old woman or something like that in order to escape any type of pedophilic accusations here? Right? I mean, it's ridiculous. I think that, any guy in their 20s dating an 18-plus-year-old woman is completely socially acceptable. Maybe when you're 40 or 50, different question. But if you're in your 20s or early 30s and you're dating a 20-year-old or a 19-year-old, nobody cares. Nobody cares. And the fact is, when you're talking about the Epstein stuff, rich people are getting access to very young women. I mean, look at Elon Musk. The age differences between his, baby mamas and him is vast. Leonardo DiCaprio, we can go on. And now we can even see Gwyneth Paltrow moving in that direction. So it's not just men. It's just it's an effect of being successful and wealthy that you become attractive to a much larger pool of people, including younger people. So that's a completely different topic, though, but it is in the vein of women trying to define what men can and can't do in the sexual market. So the main point really is that You just have to watch out for this sleight of hand, especially conservatives, because a lot of conservatives want to put a lot of pressure on young men to get married and to get locked down with a woman like this that's pretending to be conservative. Notice I'm saying pretending, because she still thinks that she has the authority to define a man. A man is someone who takes care of women and children. A woman is someone who plays her feminine role only if her conditions and her authoritative assessment is met, right? And I'm not saying that women can't choose who they marry, but women can't define masculinity. That's what I'm saying. You can't define masculinity. You can define what you want in a husband. You can define what you want in a partner. You might even be able to slightly define how you want your son to act. But you cannot define masculinity for all men. Men have their own destiny, and they themselves define themselves. So that's the video. Thanks for watching if you did. If you didn't, let's keep it real. You probably didn't. But anyway, have a good day and peace.